Today's topic will be about the immigration reform in America, how it ties into the economic situation here in America. So here we go. The major factor that has to be looked at when we start talking about economics and politics in America, and I want you to write this down and put it in your head. Whenever you hear that the debate of economics and politics in America, one factor that you should always keep in mind is the nation of China. Okay? The nation of China. And how it is affecting our politics and our economic situation. Okay, so we're talking about immigration into America. So we first have to do some history. You know, how America was formed, what was happening in America, and how they went from a little bitty economic nation to a powerhouse. You know, 400 years later, a powerhouse in the world is their ability to prosper from their resources. America, there was a saying that if you spit on the ground, something would grow. Dollars would grow. So from the cotton, from the corn, from all the fields, the tobacco fields in the South, from everything. And then America went from the economic industrial revolution. Factories. America continued to do this. From the inception, financially continued to grow. And because of the continued growth in businesses, there became a trend in America that allowed for the melting pot effect, where America was the place to get rich. But what you have to see, now write this down, that was not by coincidence. The capitalist base of America, we must remember that America is a capitalism, you know, fueled by money, fueled by business. So it wasn't a coincidence that the theme of America became the melting pot. Come here, land of the free. And the reason that they were encouraging this, because they needed bodies to work in the factories, to work in the fields, for the entire industrial revolution. In order for America to continue to do this, they needed people to come in, hands to work. Meanwhile, you know, the corporations were reaping billions of dollars. All right? From cars to clothes, everything. Companies. Okay, so let's just jump forward. What we see, if you see behind me, you see the ticker, Wall Street ticker, that the last few years America is struggling to continue its climb to the top. And it's because of policies that were put in place from previous years that were moving the building and the making of goods out of America. Okay? So that old trend, come to America, it was saying, the trend started to switch. It's cheaper to make stuff everywhere. So in the 70s, you started to see tags made in China. In the 80s, it was made in China, made in Korea, made in Taiwan. Okay? By the 90s, it was made in Mexico. America slowly, their climb to the top financially was starting to plateau. Okay? And with that decision to export work outside of the country, people were still coming to America. And the reason that people were coming to America before, because of opportunities to work. So the question becomes, what happens when the opportunity for work in America isn't there? What happens when people continue to come into the country just to get on welfare? People coming in, and there isn't the industries to build. The factories are gone. The farms aren't producing like they used to. What happens? And if you look at it from an economic basis, if people just come to America to get on welfare, and I mean like an honest welfare, they get here, they don't have enough money to buy a house, they don't have a place to stay, so they have a baby, and then they go to social services to get a Section 8. You understand? That's all a pull on the tax base. So then you have to factor in that there's people here in America, both white, black, that are really indigenous to America. Meaning they don't have anywhere else to go. There's descendants of Germans that live here in America, that have been here 4 or 5 generations, that can't go back to Germany because they don't speak German. Okay? They don't speak Polish. They don't speak Russian. Obviously, the African Americans, the descendants of slaves, speak no language that is spoken on the continent of Africa. The culture, totally everything different. They're truly indigenous, meaning made in America, to America. They too are suffering from the exporting of factories, the downsizing of work in America. So now you have to look at the number. Do you allow people to keep pouring into a country? And especially the new immigration, people pouring in the country that have the ability to come work and then leave. Work 5 years in America and then go back to Mexico. How does that affect the people who have no ability to go anywhere else? That is a policy that has to be addressed. So at some point, the American politicians and the people of America are going to have to say, we are no longer the melting pot to the world. Because truly, America wasn't the melting pot of the world because they loved the world and they wanted compassion on the world. They were the melting pot because they needed the bodies to fuel the prosperity, the businesses that were by the millions in America that have all left. The industries needed the people. That was why America, from the top political positions, was saying we're the melting pot. But really it's driven by the capitalist base. We're the melting pot because at one point industries needed bodies and bodies and bodies. Now industry is on the internet. Now most industries have been exported. And there lies that factor that I spoke of earlier, China. China is doing like this. They say they're growing so fast and powerful in everything. And it's almost identical to the birth of America, to our revolution, to where we used to spit on the ground and dollars grew up. So as long as China's continuing to go, and businesses are continuing to go to China, America must now, from a policy base, say we must start to look at ourselves as an average country again. Instead of the number one, everybody comes to you for everything, we have to look at ourselves as just in England, or just to France, just to Spain. You understand? As a country that has to take care of itself first. Because the way it's going, China is going to supply the world with goods now. That train that it's on, they say it's no way to stop that train for a minimum of 10 years before you can slow that train down. Businesses are going to continue to pile into China. But the difference is their industry revolution and ours is they've got billions of people already. China has the people where they don't have to export from Africa. Import people from Africa. They don't have to import people from Vietnam. They don't have to import people from the United States or India or Europe. China has the people, the bodies to supply their industry climb. Okay? America needed people to come into the nation to supply the demand on industry. China supplies their own demand. That's why we have to deal with the reality that China is now, how they say, that sleeping dragon has awakened, is awake. They are not going to lay down and go back to sleep for a minimum of 10 years. Right? They're not laying down. And America must set up policies that affect and can sustain the people that are stuck here. The people that can't get on a plane and go back somewhere else. They have to. We have to create policies that will help the people who are stuck here and their children who are stuck here. And stuck is a bad word, but that are indigenous, that have nowhere to go. You understand? Some people have the luxury of dual citizenship. If they don't act right in America, they could go back to India, or go back to Pakistan, or go back to China, or go back to Mexico, go back to Brazil. They could go back to Russia. You understand? Some people have that ability. But the reality, there's a mass of people in America, both black, white, that have nowhere to go. And they're demanding policies that will make sure that themselves and their children and their children's children will have something to build on.